I would tell people, and I realized I can't talk about it. All I can say is just listen to the witnesses. Don't take it from me.
This may be something a little bit different. This is not using, again, conventional thrust. If I push this way, I have an equal and opposite reaction that way.
Number 1. Delaware River UFO sighting. In 2024, an unusual UFO sighting was recorded over the Delaware River. Witnesses captured footage of a blue, elongated object hovering above the river's surface, displaying blue lights that seemed to pulse in a pattern. The object moved in a way that suggested intelligent control, almost as if it were collecting something from the river below. The object appeared to be divided into several segments, similar to how a train is made up of connected carriages. Each segment was linked together, and at first glance, the lights seemed ordinary. However, the object's behavior became much more intriguing when it suddenly began to ascend, as though it was preparing for takeoff. As the object rose, it defied conventional explanations. Despite various theories being proposed, no concrete explanation has emerged for the sighting. The blue lights and the manner in which the object moved left many questioning its origin and purpose. Was it a secret military craft, an advanced technology, or something more otherworldly? The sighting remains a mystery, with no official clarification from authorities or experts. The Delaware River UFO sighting has sparked discussions and speculation across social media and UFO enthusiast circles, but as of now, it remains one of many unexplained aerial phenomena. The event has only deepened the intrigue surrounding unidentified flying objects and their potential connection to intelligence beyond our understanding. Number 2. A UFO was discovered in Virginia. In the early hours of January 13, 1996, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, detected something unusual on its radar. Their primary role is to monitor threats such as enemy missiles or aircraft. But that day, they picked up something entirely unexpected. A mysterious object had entered Earth's atmosphere near Sao Paulo, Brazil, but NORAD couldn't identify it. They immediately contacted the Brazilian military to warn them. The object was about 200 miles northeast of Sao Paulo and descending rapidly. Brazilian Air Defense asked for more information, but NORAD simply categorized it as unidentified. It wasn't a satellite, missile, or anything else they could explain. Within minutes, the strange object crashed near the town of Vigia, Brazil, becoming the center of the country's most famous UFO story. Number 3. What was the mysterious object? When the object finally crashed, it didn't go down quietly. People witnessed and heard a large impact, and rumors of a UFO quickly began to spread. Those who saw the object described it as emitting white smoke and struggling in the sky, which likely explained why it crashed. A local farmer, Orina, was one of the first to see it. She reported it flew over her farm, scaring her animals. Her husband, Uro, also witnessed the strange craft and said it appeared to be having difficulty flying before disappearing behind a ridge. Another witness, Carlos, was driving when he spotted the object. He followed it until it crashed, and what he found at the site was no ordinary wreckage. The debris was scattered, and the air around it was filled with a pungent, foul smell, like ammonia or rotten eggs. Number 4. The military rushed to secure the crash site. Once the unidentified object crashed, military vehicles and soldiers quickly descended on the area, setting up a perimeter to keep civilians away. However, by the time they arrived, a few locals had already gotten a good look at the wreckage. The debris was spread out, and Carlos even described picking up a piece of the craft that felt like an ultralight aluminum. What really startled him was that when he crumpled the metal, it returned to its original shape as soon as he let go. Carlos wasn't the only one who noticed something odd, but before he could investigate further, the military arrived and ordered him to leave at gunpoint. They were serious about keeping people away. Later, 2 men in black suits approached Carlos, essentially instructing him to forget everything he had seen. They knew where he lived, were familiar with his family, and made it clear that discussing what he had witnessed would be a dangerous move. Number 5. Aliens were sighted shortly after the crash. In Virginia, strange sightings didn't end with the UFO. By 8 a.m. on the same day, reports started flooding in about creatures that didn't appear human. A college student claimed to have seen a small, oily-skinned creature crouching in an alley near a park. It was about 4 to 5 feet tall, with a large head, 3 long fingers, and no hair or clothes. People began connecting this to the crash, speculating that these beings might have come from the fallen object. Not long after, 3 girls, Lillian, Valkyria, and Katia, were walking through a vacant lot when they encountered something even stranger in the tall grass. They saw a creature that appeared terrified. It had shiny brown skin, a large head with 3 bumps on top, and huge red eyes. The girls were paralyzed with fear, but what made the encounter even stranger was that they could almost feel the creature's emotions. It seemed frightened and in pain. After they managed to break free from the trance, they ran home. Number 6. Hospital staff encountered strange beings. As rumors about the UFO crash began to spread, unusual reports started coming out of a hospital in Virginia. According to the hospital staff, military personnel arrived unexpectedly one day with some unusual patients. These weren't just ordinary individuals. The beings were small, frail, and had peculiar physical traits. Their skin appeared oily, and they had large heads with oversized red eyes, resembling the creatures described by earlier witnesses. The hospital staff was ordered to clear the area and keep quiet about what they had seen. Despite the secrecy, word quickly spread among the staff that these beings were not human. One nurse even claimed to have caught a brief glimpse of the creatures before being escorted out. Number 7. Everything seemed too suspicious. One of the most suspicious aspects of the Virginia incident was the swift involvement of the Brazilian military. Eyewitnesses reported seeing military personnel arrive almost immediately after the crash, sealing off the area and keeping civilians at a distance. Trucks and helicopters were also spotted, which only added to the belief that something significant was happening. The Brazilian government dismissed claims of a UFO crash, stating there was no evidence of anything unusual. Officials also denied any reports of strange creatures, suggesting that people had mistaken common events for something extraordinary. They even suggested that the creatures seen were either animals or a local man covered in mud. However, these denials only fueled suspicion, making many believe that the authorities were covering something up. The military's immediate involvement made the official explanations seem even less credible. Number 8. The Caris Flap Incident. The Caris UFO incident, also known as the Caris Flap, is one of Brazil's most enigmatic UFO events. It unfolded in 1977 on the island of Caris in the Amazon River Delta. Over several months, locals reported seeing strange, brightly lit objects in the sky, often shining beams of light down on them. These weren't just ordinary lights. Some claimed the beams caused burn marks, puncture wounds, and even removed blood from people, leaving them feeling as though they'd been zapped by something radioactive. Fearing for their safety, residents set up night vigils, lit fires, and even launched fireworks in an attempt to drive the UFOs away. The Brazilian Air Force became involved, launching Operation Sorcerer to investigate. However, after 2 months of searching, they found no solid explanations. Years later, Captain Orang, who led the operation, spoke out about the strange events, but was found dead under mysterious circumstances shortly afterward. Some believe the UFOs were connected to his death, sparking numerous conspiracy theories. Number 9. UFO sighting in Manaus. In 1974, something strange started happening in Manaus, the capital city of Amazonas State. Throughout that year, numerous people reported seeing bright, colorful lights in the sky, and things got even stranger when the lights began to descend and hover over the city. Locals described the objects as disc-shaped, flashing various colors, and moving in ways that didn't seem natural. It wasn't just the lights that caused concern. Some people reported physical effects from the close encounters. There were stories of people feeling intense heat, anxiety, and even fear during these UFO sightings. A few individuals even reported burn-like injuries, similar to those from other notable Brazilian UFO incidents. But to this day, the true nature of these events remains a mystery. Number 10. The Tic Tac UFO Encounter. In 2015, during a training exercise, Navy pilots encountered something very unusual in the sky. The footage, part of a series that the Pentagon later confirmed as authentic, shows a mysterious object flying at high speeds, performing maneuvers that seem impossible for any known aircraft. In the video, the pilots can be heard in astonishment, excitedly discussing what they're seeing. Fast forward to 2020, and the Pentagon declassified the video, along with others, to clear up any confusion. They wanted to make it clear that these were real, unexplained events captured on film. No hoaxes or tricks. However, they emphasize that the objects in these videos remain officially unidentified, without providing any answers as to what they could be. Number 11. The O'Hare Airport Sighting. On November 7, 2006, at around 4:15 p.m., about 12 United Airlines employees, including pilots and mechanics, spotted a metallic saucer-shaped craft hovering silently over Gate C-17 at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. The object hovered for roughly 5 minutes, about 1,400 to 1,500 feet in the air, and appeared dark gray, measuring between 6 to 24 feet in diameter. Suddenly, it shot straight up into the sky, leaving a hole-punch cloud behind, an unusual weather phenomenon caused by an object passing through clouds. Initially, the FAA dismissed the sighting as a weather occurrence, but a subsequent Freedom of Information Act request revealed internal discussions about the event. However, no serious investigation was conducted, and no answers were found. Number 12. The Kirtland Air Force Base Sighting. On November 4, 1957, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, two Civil Aeronautics Administration controllers, R.M. Kaser and E.G. Brink, spotted an odd white light moving across the Kirtland Air Force Base airfield. Through binoculars, they saw an egg-shaped object about 15 to 20 feet tall, with a white light at the bottom. It hovered near the control tower for about a minute before climbing into the cloudy sky. Radar operators confirmed strange high-speed movements in the area. The Air Force, investigating under Project Blue Book, suggested it was likely a small plane that had mistakenly attempted to land at the base. The controllers, however, felt the explanation didn't match what they had seen. Number 13. The Val Johnson Incident. On the morning of August 27, 1979, Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson was patrolling a quiet highway near Stephen, Minnesota, when he saw a bright light hovering in the distance. As he drove toward it, the light suddenly rushed at him, blinding him and causing the sound of breaking glass. Johnson lost consciousness and woke up 39 minutes later, dazed, with a bump on his head and eyes feeling burned. His patrol car was damaged, its windshield shattered, headlight broken, and antennas bent. Both his watch and the car's clock stopped for exactly 14 minutes. Though UFO investigators were called in, no explanation was found, and Johnson remained convinced of his experience. Number 14. The Tan UFO Incident. On September 19, 1976, people in Tehran, Iran, spotted a bright object in the sky, which led the Iranian Air Force to send two F-4 Phantom jets to investigate. The first jet lost all instruments and communication systems when it got close to the object, forcing the pilot to retreat. The second jet, piloted by Major Pavis Jafari, also experienced equipment malfunctions, and his missile system shut down when he attempted to lock onto the object. Jafari witnessed a smaller round object detach from the main one, approach his jet, slow down, and land. The next day, a search turned up no trace of the object. Number 15. The Allagash Abductions. In August 1976, four friends, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, Charles F. B.S., and Tom Reed, were camping in the Allagash wilderness of Maine when they saw a strange light hovering above them. As the light moved closer, they realized it was silent and behaved in an unexplainable way. The next thing they knew, they had lost time and recalled being aboard a spacecraft where they saw humanoid beings and underwent medical examinations. Years later, hypnosis helped them recall more details. The story gained attention when ethologist Raymond Fowler investigated and published a book about the incident. Number 16. The Shag Harbor Incident. On October 4th, 1967, around 11:20 p.m., residents of the small fishing village of Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, witnessed a glowing object flying low over the harbor. They heard a strange whistling sound, followed by a loud bang as the object crashed into the water. Local residents and the RCMP responded quickly, but the object disappeared beneath the surface, and despite extensive searches by local fishing boats, the Coast Guard, and the Canadian Navy, no debris or survivors were found. Over time, some witnesses suggested multiple objects might have been involved, with underwater activity occurring as well. Number 17. The VOR Incident. On September 27, 1989, in Vor, Soviet Union, a group of kids playing football saw a strange pink glow in the sky. They soon witnessed a deep red ball, about 3 meters across, hover and vanish several times. The situation grew even stranger when the kids reported seeing a 3-headed alien dressed in bronzy boots and 2 other humanoid creatures. After the incident, a scorched patch was found on the ground, and a small silver robot was allegedly seen. A scientific investigation followed, but the findings were inconclusive, with reports of extraterrestrial rock later identified as common hematite. Number 18. The Travis Walton Abduction. On November 5, 1975, 21-year-old forestry worker Travis Walton was with his crew near Heber, Arizona, when they saw a glowing object hovering above the trees. Walton approached the object, and a bright beam of light struck him, causing him to vanish. The crew fled, but later returned to find no sign of Walton or the object. Walton reappeared 5 days later, with no memory of his time missing. Over time, he recalled being aboard a spacecraft and undergoing medical examinations. The case gained widespread attention, with skepticism surrounding Walton's story, though he consistently stuck to his account. Number 19. The Belgium Wave. Between 1989 and 1990, Belgium experienced a notable UFO wave. It began on November 29, 1989, with reports of triangular-shaped UFOs flying low with bright lights underneath. The sightings peaked on the night of March 30th to 31st, 1990, when multiple witnesses, including police and military personnel, reported strange lights. The Belgian Air Force scrambled F-16 jets to investigate, but radar at the control center in Glon tracked an object that the pilots couldn't spot. Throughout the wave, around 2,000 sightings were reported by civilians, police, and military personnel, making it one of the most widely witnessed UFO events in history. Number 20. The Hudson Valley Sightings. The Hudson Valley sightings were a significant UFO event that took place from late 1982 to 1984 in New York and parts of Connecticut. It all began on New Year's Eve, 1982, when people in Kent Cliffs saw a massive V-shaped craft silently gliding through the sky. This was only the beginning of a surge in UFO sightings across the region. From March 1983 to June 1984, numerous reports poured in about enormous triangular or boomerang-shaped objects, each the size of a football field. Witnesses described the crafts as having bright lights and moving slowly without any sound. Over 9,000 reports were logged, coming from regular people, police officers, and even military personnel. Many of these witnesses were initially skeptical, but felt compelled to share their experiences. UFO investigator and author Philip Imbrogno delved into the case, interviewing witnesses and documenting their accounts. He even claimed to have seen the V-shaped craft himself. While the sightings received a lot of local media coverage, they mostly flew under the radar nationally. Do you believe there are aliens out there that we haven't discovered yet? What if the government has already made contact with them?